Visual impairment. Life without sight is hard to imagine and is one of the most feared of human conditions. Hallahan and Kaufman 2000. Living with visual impairment can interfere with the development of one's learning mobility, social growth, and adjustment. For this reason, it is vital that stakeholders understand the importances of inclusion and to provide equity and equality to individuals living with visual impairment. Therefore, the objective of this poster presentation is to educate stakeholders on visual impairment. It gives an overview of visual impairment and explains how to successfully plan or teach students with visual impairment in the Jamaican Secondary Inclusive Classroom.
What is visual impairment? Visual impairment is a general term for a visual loss that decreases someone's ability to see to a certain degree. Salvin 2016. There are 4 categories of visual impairment: legally blind, totally blind, functional blind, and low vision. Legally blind has a visual acuity of 2200 or less in the better eye after the correction with glasses. Totally blind has no light perception. Functional blind has limited vision. Low vision refers to vision 20/70 or worse that cannot be fully corrected.
Based on information provided by the Jamaica Society for the Blind, they state that 0.1% of children has low vision, while 3% of adults have the same disability. On the other hand, for those who are functionally blind, they state that 0.3% of children are functionally blind, while 1% of adults have the same disability.
Some characteristics that are associated with visual impairment include difficulty reading, problem writing, inability to recognize distant objects, the need for additional light, poor sense of direction, headache often occurs from eye strain, and unusual facial behaviors such as squinting, blinking, or frowning while reading.
As educators, various teaching methods can be employed to help students with visual impairment. These include cooperative learning, direct teaching, co-teaching, and discussion method. 2018 discussed teaching methods that can be used with students with visual impairment, and these include cooperative learning. This is placing students in small groups to discover new concepts together and assist each other's learning. Direct teaching, which refers to instructional approaches that are structured, sequenced, and led by teachers, such as in a lecture or demonstration. Co-teaching, this is defined as 2 teachers working together with groups of students, sharing the planning, organization, delivery, and assessment of instruction. And finally, discussion method, where ideas or experiences are shared and discussed among the students.
3 strategies that can be used within a secondary educational inclusive environment with students with visual impairment are verbalization and student self-regulated learning, differentiated instructions, and inquiry-based instructions. Verbalization and student self-regulated learning helps to develop students' cognitive skills. For the visual impaired students, verbalization enhances or improves their attention, coding, storage, and retention of material, and thereby facilitates subsequent retrieval and use. It can also help students to cope with difficulties and raise self-efficacy. Differentiated instruction is an effective strategy that can aid students in the teaching and learning process to maximize his or her full potential. The differentiated content, process, and product should be based upon the student's strengths, needs, learning styles, readiness, interests, and learning profile. Differentiated instruction eradicates ableist practices but promote equity and equality among all learners. Inquiry-based instructions or learning is a highly effective method of teaching. It focuses on engaging students in the material and shifting the process of learning to the students. It allows students to engage in discovery learning, build their critical and problem-solving skills. It nurtures passions and talents and encourages students to ask questions.
In our 21st century inclusive classrooms, assistive technology is trending. They are used to enable and promote inclusion and participation. Let us examine 8 of these assistive technology. 1. Closed circuit television, known as CCTV, enables someone who is legally blind or who has low vision to read printed materials. It uses a camera and television screen to create and enlarge printed text or image. 2. Descriptive video service helps an individual who has vision impairment to understand what is happening on the screen by providing narration. 3. Computer screen magnification enlarges and enhances mouse and text cursor to make them easier to see and track. 4. Screen reader allows the visual impaired user to read the text that is displayed on the computer screen with a braille display. 5. Pre-recorded materials allow the individual to record an instructional lesson for studying, note-taking, and assignment purposes. 6. Braille note takers allow the individual who is visually impaired to perform tasks away from home. 7. Audiobooks. This allows an individual with vision loss or low vision by enriching their knowledge and providing information through the means of an audible format. 8. JAWS, known as Jaw Access with Speech. It is considered to be the world's most popular screen reader. It helps the individual with visual impairment to read the text that is displayed on their devices with a speech synthesizer.
So currently, there are 2 major organizations in Jamaica that caters for students who are visually impaired. These organizations are the Salvation Army for the Blind and Visually Impaired and the School for the Blind. Well, for the Salvation for the Blind and Visually Impaired, they provide education for students who are visually impaired from the early childhood level to the secondary level. They also utilizes the Ministry of Education NSC curriculum with the students. The other one is School for the Blind. Now their recently created a resource center that caters for persons with low vision, which is one of the first in the island. The center provides treatment and prevention services for these individuals. And for the international organization, which is called American Foundation for the Blind, they offer support to individuals with visual disabilities, such as online learning and family and community resources in breaking down societal barriers and promoting broad systematic change for these individuals.
In conclusion, life without vision is hard. However, children who have a visual impairment can live a normal life. To make this possible, teachers have to utilize appropriate methods and effective strategies in the inclusive secondary classroom so that these students can be adequately catered for and become functional members of society as they transition into the 21st century.